All right, it's time for our book review segment this morning, The Village Indian by Vanessa Govender. It holds up a mirror for South Africa's Indian community, interrogating masculinity, patriarchy, migration, faith, silence, and survival. And so through this intimate lens, it's semi-autobiographical. It uses humor, memory, and explores identity, race, gender, family, and just belonging in South Africa at large. So the author, Vanessa Govender, joins us online to unpack her latest offering. On that note, a very good morning, Vanessa, and thank you for penning thoughts to paper.
Good morning, Liesl. Thanks very much for having me. Wonderful to be here.
So, Vanessa, you're the storyteller and you're both the subject matter as well. And so this was an interesting take. And I mean, through your eyes, the village comes alive. And so I wonder if we could just explore this concept and play on the title as well. In the book, the village, it feels like a living entity, right? Because it shapes behavior. It enforces or reinforces silences, but it also somewhat defines what is acceptable. I wonder if you can unpack that process as you were developing the character and the village as a character rather than a backdrop.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wanted to write another book and I thought I would head down the lines of fiction, right? And it was proving to be a bit of a difficult task. It takes a lot of thought, it takes a lot of effort. And then I realized here I am in the midst of this real life drama. Now think all your favorite soap operas, right? The Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, Isi Dingo, Kumbelekai. I'm giving up my age here by saying these things. But there I was, surrounded by all these larger than life figures. And, you know, whenever you drive past these small towns or villages, you always think they look quite sad, they look quite lonely, they look like nothing ever happens. But let me tell you, villages and small towns are absolutely beautiful, magnificent distillation of South Africa, of South African culture. And for me, here I was, Indian in a mixed race marriage with mixed children, literally one of a handful in this village. And it became quite interesting how life unfolded. I was very much part of everything, but I was also standing on the parameters and observing. And the village Indian is a bold statement or a bold declaration of identity. And if we look at it in the South African landscape, race becomes such a sensitive issue. Racism is a sensitive issue, contentious issue. And I thought as South Africans, we all have this ability, I call it our superpower, right? Our ability to laugh in the midst of madness. And I wanted to address the serious issues of identity, of belonging, of the racial relationships and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But without being political, because we're tired of that now. So, you know, there's huge dollops of humor in here, but not to be mistaken that it does tackle some serious issues.
Well, Vanessa, let's get into that, because for me, the power of your book revolved around how the ordinary people in your story, you know, have to navigate these extraordinary systems and they still survive. And you see how everyone influences each other. It's the interconnectedness that you spoke about. And so there are obviously various role players that would have played their role in your own life. Your mother, your father, there's the entire community at large. There are also the outsiders as well. Navigating all of those aspects, I mean, we're looking at the different archetypes, your mother representing strength, but also survival, having to keep quiet in most instances. Your father, the traditional authority figure, there's pride, but there's also navigating a system that doesn't recognize him. There's also the issue of belonging at large, knowing, you know, your history of your ancestors, but obviously having to forge this new third culture identity as well. Perhaps you can unpack all of that as well for us.
So, you know, for me, I always say we're very quick to talk about how different we are. And yes, physically we are very different. And we feel sensitive to talk about our Indianness or our blackness or our coloredness or our whiteness. And, you know, people are like squeamish around these issues. But, you know, when you strip away the surface, it is a beautiful, undeniable thing, is that we are all intrinsically, inherently, and profoundly very much the same at our core in terms of our wants, our desires, our ambitions, the things that hurt us, the things that inspire us, the things that motivate us, you know. And then you bring in that unique identity of South Africanness, which transcends all race groups. You know, it doesn't matter whether you come from Chatsworth, Umlazi, wherever, the informal settlements, the posh suburbs, we are intrinsically and profoundly at our core very similar human beings. And I wanted ultimately for my book not to just explore that, but to be emphatic in its portrayal of it, because we are worth celebrating. We
Absolutely.
really are. We've got 99 problems, right? But we do not give ourselves enough credit as South Africans as to where we've come from, where we are, and where we're heading. And I think, you know, if we take a step back from the politics, the things that we always want to say that I'm so different from you, but actually I'm not really, you know.
Well, Vanessa, to your point, I mean, navigating all these social constructs and finding the unity in that diversity, it was so befitting to read this book because, I mean, on Tuesday, it's Reconciliation Day. And whilst the day itself asks us to look outward, I mean, your book also suggests that we need to have that internal reconciliation, right? And I wonder how we can look at what that broader healing project can also look like for our society when we start to confront our own wounds. We look at those constructs that, you know, perpetuate the status quo and how we can mitigate against them as well.
Absolutely. So, you know, the village is in essence and essentially a metaphor for the country.
Yes.
You know, it's one village, but there are two different halves to it. There is the more affluent side of the village that is predominantly white, and right next door is the black population and the colored population, and where poverty is very stark. It can't be denied. The disparity is there. And, you know, you see it every day. We pass it every day. We're living in the midst and the thick of things. And what I have found, and it is symbolic and it is ultimately really a reflection of us entirely, because there is historical connotations to this village. I mean, there was the Group Areas Act where, you know, you had the colored population that were living on one side that were forcibly removed. And now you have these two very different, starkly different communities living side by side. Given that history and where they are and where we are as a country, we cannot deny where we've come from.
Yeah.
And by no means would I downplay on any of that. But also the village Indian serves to hold up a mirror and say, well, this is where we've come from, this is where we're at, and here we have this village with its past, with its present, and its future. And you see people, when the going gets tough, and this is indicative of all of South Africa, by the way, and all South Africans, wherever we may come from, when the going gets tough, you see these people so different on the outside, so different from where they've come from, so different in who they are, their histories, their lived experiences, coming together.
Well,
and that is the essence of it.
Well, the youth also find, you know, their lives resonating in some of these stories, the Indian lingo as well. Vanessa, you really went in there. I'm running out of time. I have to leave it there. But I want to thank you for weighing in and for penning thoughts to paper. In the Village Indian, Vanessa Govender reminds us reconciliation is not just a national project. It's an intimate one as well. There's unity and diversity. And we're obviously looking forward to navigating those families, those faith spaces, and the stories that we use to protect ourselves and also understand where we come from. We'll leave that conversation then. Be right back after this.